She was a country music icon, a fiercely proud mother, and a warrior who appeared to overcome every challenge that life presented to her. And then, on one spring morning, the news scrolled across all screens: Noami Judd was dead. Fans, friends, even longtime detractors were halted in their tracks. How could the woman who penned hymns of hope just vanish? And why are the pages of her just-released Autopsy raising even harder questions? For nearly 4 decades, Noami Judd's voice, warm, twangy, unmistakable, defined the heart of Nashville. With her daughter Juana, she racked up hit after hit, collecting Grammys the way other artists collect guitar picks. When the Judds walked on stage, arenas felt like family picnics. So when word of Noami's death hit social media, the reaction was a tidal wave of shock, tributes, and pure confusion. Now, an official autopsy, long concealed, offers suggestions of realities that few are prepared to confront. Early life and struggles of Noami Judd. Noami Judd, born Diana Ellen Judd, was born on January 11, 1946, in the tiny town of Ashland, Kentucky. Her early life was modest. Her father, Charles Glenn Judd, operated a gas station, and her mother, Pauline Ruth Holly, was a cook on a riverboat. Noami did not have a simple childhood. One of the saddest things that ever happened to her in her young life was losing her younger brother Brian to leukemia at age 17. Pain like that never quite goes away. When Noami was 18, she became a mom herself. She had her first daughter, Christina Claire Simonella, who the world would later get to know as Winona Judd. Noami was then abandoned by her boyfriend, Charles Jordan, who was Winona's biological father. Rushing to find some stability, she wed Michael Simonella and named her baby after him. That union did not last very long, but it did provide Noami with another daughter, Ashley Judd, who was born in 1968 and would go on to become a well-known actress. Once her marriage to Simonella dissolved, Noami had both daughters on her own. She did everything she could to provide them a comfortable life, even while continuing her own ambitions. In the mid-1970s, she attended the University of Kentucky to study nursing and subsequently went on to study at the College of Marin in California. She resided in a small town named Lagunas then and managed school, raising children, and working. It was only after her divorce that she made the decision that would change her life forever. She would abandon the name of Diana. She didn't feel it really captured her spirit or her roots in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So she picked a new moniker, Noami. She gravitated to the story of Noami from the Bible, a woman who traveled to a foreign land, suffered incredible loss, and raised 2 daughters by herself. That tale did reflect her own life in several ways, and thus Noami Judd was born, not only in name but in identity. From there, the journey to country music fame would gradually start to take shape. The Judds during the 1980s. Noami Judd partnered with her daughter Winona to create one of the most iconic country music duos of all time, the Judds. Their sound wasn't just catchy, it was authentic, full of narratives, and entrenched in the actual life ups and downs they had shared. And fans loved it. With 20 top 10 singles, 6 albums, and a run of awards, the Judds were an overnight sensation in country music. They started with a humble release called Winona and Noami. There were 6 tracks in it, and 2 were made available as singles. One of them was Had a Dream, for the Heart, a song recorded by Elvis Presley. It rose to number 17 on country charts, not bad for a first effort. But it was their second single, Mama He's Crazy, that boosted them to superstardom. The single was released in 1984 and reached number 1, and won them their first Grammy Award. That was only the start. Later that year, they produced their first full-length CD, Why Not Me, which was a country staple. It featured hits such as the title song, Girls' Night Out, and Love is Alive. The album sold more than 1 million in the United States and earned the duo a Grammy to go along with it. The Judds weren't only singing, they were creating the country sound of a new generation. Particularly for women fans who identified with Noami and Juana. They released Rockin' with the Rhythm in 1985, and it provided us with 4 additional hit singles. Have Mercy held the top spot for 2 weeks, then a relatively rare occurrence. Then there was Grandpa, Tell Me About the Good Old Days, that lovely nostalgic song that earned them 2 additional Grammy Awards. Their fans appreciated how intimate and moving their music seemed. By 1987, the Judds had put out Heartland. It featured another Elvis cover, Don't Be Cruel, and hits like I Know Where I'm Going, Maybe Your Baby's Got the Blues, and Turn It Loose. Even as critics called this album a bit uneven, the fans stuck with them. In 1988, they released a greatest hits album, which included Give a Little Love and Change of Heart, a song Noami herself wrote. That one won them their 4th Grammy. The Judds were not just a mother-daughter duo, they were survivor tellers, symbolizing strength, particularly Noami, who infused her real-life challenges into songs that made millions feel heard and understood. Hepatitis C, The Breakup, and Solo Work. In 1991, life dealt Noami Judd a curve. Doctors informed her she had hepatitis C. It was devastating news. Understanding how grueling treatment could be and fearing it would ruin her career as a singer, Noami and Juana chose to retire from touring. Their goodbye concert, which was televised on cable pay-per-view, set viewing records, demonstrating how deeply fans adored the Judds. But Noami was not one to do nothing. In that same year, she established the Noami Judd Education and Research Fund, vowing to alert others to the dangers of hepatitis C and provide aid to those who are struggling with the disease. She was also a national spokesperson for the American Liver Foundation, basing her appeals on her own experience to urge people to take tests and treat themselves. 2 years later, in 1993, Noami's advocacy and musical achievements earned her the Golden Plate Award from the American Academy of Achievement, one of many honors recognizing her courage. The biggest victory came in 1998 when she completed interferon alpha therapy and was officially cured of hepatitis C. Feeling like she'd been given a second chance, Noami hit the stage again on New Year's Eve 1999. She and Juana reunited in Phoenix for a sold-out concert, with daughter Ashley Judd acting as MC. The energy was electric, and the pair followed it up with the Power to Change tour in 2000. By 2001, the Judds were once again in the spotlight, snagging a nomination for the Academy of Country Music's Top Vocal Duo. Noami's comeback didn't stop with music. From 2003 to 2004, she served as a judge on Star Search alongside host Arsenio Hall, offering honest, motherly advice to aspiring performers. In 2005, she launched her own Hallmark Channel talk show Noami's New Morning, where she chatted about faith, family, and wellness for 2 full seasons. She also turned to writing, publishing self-help books like Noami's Guide to Aging Gratefully in 2007, peppering practical tips with her signature warmth and humor. Producers adored her no-frills attitude, so in 2008 Noami was signed on as a judge and mentor to CMT's singing show Can You Do It? Almost a decade later, she joined husband Larry Strickland on Fox's reality cooking show My Kitchen Rules in 2017, showing that she could mix up some fun in the kitchen as well. Even with all those accolades, Noami continued breaking ground. In 2021, she was part of the first class of inductees into the Women's Songwriters Hall of Fame, a well-deserved honor for a woman whose lyrics and music touched millions. Her acting career, Noami Judd was more than a country music celebrity. She was also an actress. Her first on-screen role appeared in 1979 when she played a small part in the comedy movie More American Graffiti. It was only the start of her career in film and television. By 1995, she was not only performing but also producing. She was the executive producer of the made-for-TV film Noami and Juana. Love Can Build a Bridge, based on her book detailing her life and relationship with her daughter Juana. Noami made appearances throughout the years in some of the most popular television shows. You may have caught her guest starring in shows such as Sisters, The Client, Third Rock from the Sun, and Touched by an Angel. In 1993, she expanded her role as the female lead in the Western movie Rio Diablo, alongside Kenny Rogers, demonstrating that she was as capable on screen as she was on stage. She didn't rest on her laurels. In 1999, she starred as Lily Waite in the sentimental TV movie A Holiday Romance and also showed up in a drama film titled Family Tree. In 2001, she appeared in a sweet cameo in the romantic comedy Someone Like You starring her daughter Ashley Judd. It was a wonderful mother-daughter scene that fans cherished, and it demonstrated how their worlds of creativity could nicely intersect. Noami didn't slow down. She continued to act during the 2000s and 2010s, experimenting with various characters and introducing fans to new aspects of her personality. In 2011, she took everyone by surprise by assuming a darker character in the Lifetime thriller The Killing Game, co-starring Laura Prepon. This wasn't her comfort zone, but she aced it, demonstrating her range and courage as an actor. Next came the Hallmark years. Noami appeared in Nearlyweds and Window Wonderland in 2013, 2 warm, feel-good films that allowed her real warmth to shine. They were ideal for fans of light-hearted tales with a happy ending, and Noami was right at home with that cozy feeling. In 2014, She played a loving character named Honey in An Evergreen Christmas, a holiday movie full of small-town charm and festive joy. Naomi's role brought a sweet maternal energy that made the film even more heartwarming. Her last on-camera credit appeared in 2021 in the Lifetime movie Ruby, from the novel by V.C. Andrews. She was the mother of the lead character and, as ever, she delivered strength, depth, and genuine emotion to the screen. Whatever the role, Noami Judd could relate to people. Whether she was bringing us to tears with a country ballad or touching our hearts in a Christmas movie, she always gave it everything she had, with honesty, grace, and love. Noami Judd on Faith and Fame. Noami Judd always appreciated the strong bond between country music celebrities and their public, but occasionally that bond became over the line. During a 1993 interview, Noami described an encounter with an extremely dedicated fan who began attending the same Pentecostal church as her family. Noami was uncomfortable. "I just don't sign autographs at church," she said. "Jesus is the star, not me." Later on, she penned a very emotional letter to the fan, requesting that she ask herself, "Do you come to church to see the Judds or to see God?" The fan no longer attended church, but did turn up in Naomi's autograph line. Noami never shied away from the peaks and valleys of her life. She and her spunky daughter Winona had a devoted fan base that wasn't solely due to their music, but because fans identified with their hardships. Noami had battled anxiety, panic attacks, a crisis pregnancy, and a fight for survival with hepatitis C that led her to stop performing with Winona. What she hadn't discussed publicly until years afterward was the child abuse she suffered, which resulted in depression that was hard to treat. In her 2016 memoir River of Time, she disclosed just how far down her pain reached. She wrote candidly about suicidal feelings, stating, "If someone took out a gun and killed me on stage, they would be doing me a favor." Tragically, Noami died by suicide on April 30, 2022, just one day before she was to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. During the ceremony, Ashley Judd tearfully said, "I'm sorry she couldn't hang on until today." In a powerful essay for USA Today, Ashley later wrote about her incandescent rage that her mother's mental illness and the trauma she carried since childhood had stolen her away. Winona, unbroken by the grief, directed the crowd through a poignant reading of the 23rd Psalm. Her voice trembled as she finished, "I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." The crowd responded with an amen. Noami had said that real country music should be all of life, the good and the bad, the Sunday mornings and Saturday nights. She never feigned perfection. "People do know that Winona was born when I was 17 and not married," she said. "We've had a lot go on." She also warned against celebrity worship, saying, "We don't have a royal family in America, so we've made celebrities our aristocracy. But we're just people, with angels and demons like everyone else." And that honesty is what made Noami Judd unforgettable. Incident with husband Larry Strickland. Noami Judd and Larry Strickland were together for almost 33 years, but their marriage wasn't the fairy tale that it appeared to be from the outside. According to a new docuseries called The Judd Family, Truth Be Told, which appeared May 10th and 11th, there were some shocking realities, even including one in which Noami had once pulled a gun on Larry. That emotional confession came directly from Strickland, now 79, as he watched a scene from the 1995 TV movie Love Can Build a Bridge. In the film, based on Naomi's memoir, actress Kathleen York, playing Noami, shoots the character modeled after Strickland, portrayed by Bruce Greenwood, after discovering he had cheated. Seeing the dramatic episode years afterward, Strickland just nodded and affirmed in a hushed voice, "Well, it really happened. That's all I can say, that's all I'm going to say." The docuseries gets into the highs and lows of the Judd family, providing fans with an unvarnished and candid glimpse at the pain behind the glory. Noami once referred to her relationship with Larry as wildly, madly, passionately in love, but that all-consuming love came with all-consuming pain. One of the saddest memories Noami described in her memoir was from the 1980s. A Northeast woman phoned their Nashville residence and informed Noami that she loved and missed Larry. Noami was enraged. In a fit of anger, she ripped up their pictures, dumped Larry's things into a trash bag, and left it out in the yard. Part of the reason their relationship was so complicated was distance. Larry was frequently away, and Noami was left alone feeling abandoned. Such times of absence evidently weighed heavily on her emotionally and mentally. Despite these painful chapters, Noami and Larry's bond endured. The two met in 1979 and tied the knot in May 1989. They stayed married until Naomi's tragic passing. Her death shook the world, but the Judd family, truth be told, reveals that behind her smile and talent was a woman carrying years of heartbreak, betrayal, and unresolved wounds, but also a capacity for love and forgiveness. Noami Judd was more than a country music icon. She was a complex, passionate woman who struggled hard for her family, for her marriage, and for herself. Family dynamics and allegations. In her 2011 memoir, All That Is Bitter and Sweet, actress Ashley Judd revealed the emotional and psychological traumas she experienced while growing up within the Judd family. She painted a picture of a childhood that was neglected, unstable, and traumatized, with exposure to inappropriate circumstances which made a profound impact on her mental health. Ashley described going through 13 schools prior to reaching age 18, feeling more like a guest in her own family. While her mom Noami Judd and her half-sister Juana developed their musical careers, Ashley was left with her father or other extended family members with regular frequency. She described being subject to her mother's affairs and the use of drugs in the home, leading to feelings of chaos and instability. Perhaps the most powerful part of Ashley's memoir is her description of being molested by a friend of her family when she was a teenager. She also described emotional abuse and the effects of the dysfunction of her family on her mental health. These had led her into depression and suicidal ideation, something that she overcame with therapy in adulthood. The publication of Ashley's memoir raised mixed reactions. Even though Naomi and Winona didn't publicly respond to Ashley's personal stories, her revelations gave us a deeper look into the Judd family's complex relationship. Behind their fame and success, there was also a lot of pain and emotional struggle. Ashley Judd's decision to speak openly about her childhood trauma and mental health challenges has helped start important conversations. Her honesty shows how vital it is to talk about these issues even when it's hard. Many people go through similar experiences but feel alone or afraid to speak up. Ashley's story reminds us that we all need safe, supportive spaces where we can share our struggles and heal. It also shows that even families in the spotlight deal with real-life problems. Her courage in telling her truth is not just powerful. It's a step toward helping others feel seen, understood, and encouraged to seek the help they need. Naomi's death. Noami Judd's death was as sad as it was unexpected. On the morning of April 30, 2022, the 76-year-old singer was discovered at her Leapers Fork, Tennessee, residence. The official report subsequently verified what concerned fans had dreaded. Naomi died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She fought for years against deep depression, an illness that tended to carry with it anxiety, panic attacks, and morbid thoughts she struggled so much to eliminate. Unfortunately, the same medications designed to stabilize her came with harsh side effects. Medications such as lithium led to puffy faces, hair loss, and trembling hands. Those alterations only added to her emotional suffering. Adding insult to tragedy, Naomi's passing was only a day ahead of her and Juana's induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame, a goal they'd hoped for decades. Ashley and Juana broke the devastating news on social media on April 30th, writing, "Today we sisters experienced a tragedy. We lost our beautiful mother to the disease of mental illness." The sisters chose their words carefully, calling mental illness a disease to underscore that Naomi's struggle was as real and serious as any physical ailment. 12 days after that, Ashley met Diane Sawyer on Good Morning America. Crying, she laid out the reasons why the family had chosen to openly discuss the cause of death. They didn't want the narrative to be dictated by someone else and, more specifically, to encourage honest conversation about mental health. Ashley wanted to tell their truth so someone else might feel less isolated and more likely to ask for help. To honor Naomi's life, CMT aired a public memorial titled Noami Judd, A River of Time Celebration. The service took place at the historic Ryman Auditorium, one of Naomi's favorite venues, and was hosted by Good Morning America anchor Robin Roberts. The tribute was star-studded yet deeply personal. Ashley Judd spoke with raw honesty. Naomi's husband, Larry Strickland, shared tender memories. Friends from all corners of show business sent best wishes. Bono, Bette Midler, Morgan Freeman, Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Salma Hayek all came through on video. On stage, the music came as easily as Naomi would have desired. Winona sang a courageous performance, and voices such as Reba McEntire, Brad Paisley, Little Big Town, Brandi Carlile, and Emmylou Harris filled the auditorium. The evening wasn't goodbye, really. It was an invitation to continue Naomi's work, one that illuminates discussions around hope, recovery, and the need to take mental illness as seriously as we do any other life-threatening condition. The autopsy report. The Davidson County Medical Examiner's Office released the autopsy report of Noami Judd on August 26, 2022, and it confirmed that the country singer died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The report read, Noami Judd died as a result of a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death is suicide. The autopsy further showed that Noami had a number of prescription drugs in her system, including medications for the treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder and bipolar disorder. The drugs, though meant to assist, might at times cause side effects that can increase the severity of mental illness. Unfortunately, Noami's daughter Ashley Judd found her mother alive but seriously injured. Ashley described that she cradled her mother in her death throes, comforting and showing love to her. With the publication of the autopsy report, the Judd family released a statement about the need for mental health awareness. We have always spoken openly both about the blessings of being family as well as its sadness too. Part of our narrative is that our matriarch struggled with an unjust adversary. Following the death of her mother, Noami Judd promised to keep singing, saying, In the midst of everything that has happened, I said that I would continue to sing, so here I am. She fulfilled this pledge by unveiling a new song called Other Side featuring indie musician Waxahachie. The death of Noami Judd has also initiated wider discussions regarding mental illness, the difficulty of living with mental illness, and the need to seek help. Her family's publicness is intended to lower stigma and persuade people to place greater importance on mental health. Did Noami Judd really leave her daughters out of her will? Noami Judd did have a will. Some journalists obtained that will and made assumptions, but perhaps they didn't examine it close enough. What they largely concentrated on is who Noami appointed as the administrator of her estate and not who she left it to. Noami appointed her 33-year husband Larry Strickland as the executive. That's the individual responsible for taking care of the legal and financial aspects of the estate, such as paying bills, taxes, and ultimately distributing what's left to the individuals indicated in the will or trust. She also appointed 2 alternates in the event Larry would be unable to perform the task. It's not very surprising at all to name a longtime spouse as executive. It is somewhat surprising that she didn't leave her daughters as alternates, but not unknown, particularly given how active Ashley and Juana are. Being the executive is not a reward or an act of favoritism. It's work. Executives do not necessarily receive money from the estate unless they have been named as beneficiaries as well, and from what some sources are saying, Ashley and Winona are beneficiaries, just not in the will. It happened because Noami might have established what's termed a trust. A trust is a legal setup that can oversee and distribute an individual's wealth at death. Most individuals make use of a basic will known as a pour-over will, which simply pours whatever remains outside the trust into it. The actual specifics, who receives what, are normally detailed in the trust, not the will. In fact, U.S. Weekly reported that both daughters are part of Noami's trust. Larry is said to be the one overseeing it, meaning he's in charge of both the will and the trust. So why did this will suddenly pop up in the news? It may have been filed for legal reasons, specifically to support a lawsuit the Judd family filed to keep private records about Noami's death confidential. A judge has already granted temporary protection, with more legal steps coming. Ultimately, it looks like the tale isn't quite as melodramatic as the headlines made it out to be, and Noami Judd probably didn't cut her daughters out of her will after all. Noami Judd was a country music legend, a treasured voice, a Grammy winner, and a lady who spoke solace to millions in her music. Yet behind the sparkles and glory, Noami struggled in secret with a darkness that wasn't visible to everyone. Her passing surprised fans worldwide when it was announced that she took her own life on the eve of when she was to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame along with her daughter Winona. Noami was for years candid about her own battles with mental illness, depression, and anxiety. She would frequently discuss how those experiences impacted her life even during the peak of her career. Yet it is tragic to consider that an individual who provided so much love and courage to others was secretly suffering in silence. Her story reminds us that mental illness is not concerned with success, fame, or wealth. It can affect anybody, even those who appear to have it all. We remember Noami by cherishing both her music and her strength in talking about her suffering, and hopefully we learn to check in on the people we care about a little more. If Noami Judd's story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep explorations into the lives of the stars you love. We share real stories that matter, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.